Hello everyone and welcome to the Linux for Beginners series. I am David and I'm glad you are here. Chances are you have heard the word Linux before. Maybe in a tutorial, a conversation about Ubuntu, or while exploring servers, cloud computing, cybersecurity, or web hosting. But hearing the name and actually understanding what Linux is are two very different things. In this video, we are answering two questions. What exactly is Linux and why you should learn Linux? Now, here is the roadmap. We will start with what Linux actually is and where it fits inside a computer. Then we will compare it to operating systems you already know. I'm talking of Windows and macOS before looking at what Linux manages and the different distributions you will encounter. From there, we will explore where Linux shows up in the real world, and finally, why it's still one of the most valuable skills you can learn today. By the end, you will know exactly what Linux is, where it lives, and why we are spending this entire series learning to work with Linux. So let's take a look at what Linux is. At its core, Linux is the foundation of a family of operating systems that run computers and countless other devices. Here is an important distinction. When people say Linux, they usually mean the whole operating system. Technically though, Linux is the kernel, the core components that sit between your software and your hardware, letting the two communicate. Think about everything inside a computer. We mean a processor, memory, storage, networking hardware, USB ports, a keyboard, and a mouse. Someone has to manage all of that, and that's the kernel's job. When an app needs memory, processing power, or a file, the kernel is what makes that possible. Let's take a look at a simple example. When you open a web browser, it needs memory, CPU power, file access, and usually a network connection. The browser doesn't talk to your hardware directly. The operating system and the kernel handles that behind the scenes. And on top of the kernel, other components will come together to form a complete operating system. That's where Linux distributions comes in. More on that shortly. For now, remember this. The kernel manages the hardware and resources, while the broader Linux environment gives you the tools to interact with the system, either through a graphical desktop or through the command line using a terminal. The terminal will become a big part of this series. Instead of clicking through menus, you will type a command and tell Linux exactly what to do. It might look intimidating at first, but by the end of this series, you would understand not just what those commands do, but why you are using them. So, let's put Linux in context by comparing it to systems you already know. You have almost certainly used an operating system before. Windows, Microsoft's platform used across personal computers, business machines, and gaming systems, or macOS, Apple's system built specifically for Mac. And then we have Linux. The biggest difference, Linux isn't one single product. It's an entire ecosystem of distributions, each built with different goals in mind. Linux dominates in servers and cloud computing and shows up heavily in software development, cybersecurity, networking, research, and embedded systems. Now, to be clear, this isn't about Linux being better. Every operating system has its strength, and the right one depends on what you are trying to do. A gamer and a server administrator have very different needs. So do a graphic designer and a cloud engineer. This course isn't asking you to abandon Windows or macOS. We are learning Linux because it is a major technology platform, and understanding it adds a powerful skill to your toolkit. And for those of you who have been subscribed to this channel for a while, you've learned web hosting. This is a logical transition from what we have already learned. Now, once you start learning Linux, you will be surprised how often it is working quietly behind the scenes. So, what exactly does Linux manage on all these systems? Every computer is a collection of components working together, and something has to coordinate all of it. That is a core job of any operating system. Let's take a look at the memory. Linux decides how memory gets allocated across running applications. And then if you look at storage and files, think of everything on your computer. We are talking about documents, photos, videos, config logs, and possibly millions of files. Linux file systems keep all of it organized and accessible. We will spend real time on this later because understanding how Linux organizes information is fundamental to everything else. We can also have users. Linux supports multiple users, each with their own accounts, permissions, and access levels. This matters enormously on servers. You wouldn't want everyone who gets into a server to have unrestricted access to everything, which is exactly why users, groups, and permissions exist. If you look at applications and processes, every running program is a process, and Linux tracks and manages the resources each one consumes. And we can go on into networking, hardware. All of these pieces work together, which is why Linux administration isn't about memorizing commands. It is about understanding how a system part interacts. Now, let's take a look at the popular Linux distributions. If you have searched for Linux tutorials, you have probably noticed something confusing. One video uses Ubuntu, another uses Debian, and a third uses Fedora. And suddenly, you are wondering which one is actually Linux. The answer is they are all Linux. These are Linux distributions or distros. Each one takes the Linux kernel and combines it with software, tools, and package managers to create a complete usable operating system. It also helps to know that distributions aren't all unrelated. Many are built on top of each other, forming distinct families. Debian is one of the oldest and most respected Linux distributions, known for its stability. It is also the foundation for an entire family of Linux distributions built on top of it. Now, Ubuntu is actually part of that Debian family. It is built directly on Debian's core with extra tools and polished layer on top to make it more approachable for beginners. That's why Ubuntu and Debian share so much under the hood, even though Ubuntu feels more beginner friendly out of the box. Fedora sits in a different family. It is closely tied to Red Hat and tends to ship newer technologies, making it popular with developers who want to stay on the cutting edge. Now, Rocky Linux and AlmaLinux belong to that same Red Hat family. They were created to fill the gap left by CentOS, and they are widely used in servers and enterprise environments. If you have ever set up a VPS, you have probably seen these names on the menu. Arch Linux takes yet another approach entirely. Built from the ground up for users who want full hands-on control over how their system is assembled. So when you are picking a distro, you are really choosing a family as much as a specific OS. Understanding that Ubuntu descends from Debian and Rocky and Alma Linux descends from the Red Hat family make it much easier to understand why certain distros feel similar and use similar tools. Now for this Linux series, we are using Ubuntu. Not just because it's beginner friendly, but because it's Debian root means the skills you learn here transfer directly to Debian, Linux Mint, and other Debian-based systems down the road. Don't get stuck searching for the perfect distro. Pick a solid starting point, learn the fundamentals, and expand from there. For us, that starting point is Ubuntu. Now let's take a look at why they need to learn Linux. Technology moves fast, new frameworks, new languages. AI is reshaping entire industries. So it's fair to ask, does Linux still really matter? And the answer is yes. And here's why. Businesses still need people who can configure systems, manage servers, and keep infrastructure secure and running. That demand isn't going anywhere. Now, cloud computing runs largely on Linux. Whether you're using AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud, understanding Linux means understanding what is actually happening behind the interface, not just clicking buttons, but knowing what you are building. Cybersecurity depends on understanding the systems you are defending. We have users, permissions, processes, and system behavior. Linux is one of the best environments for developing that instinct. Now, software development benefits too. Most applications eventually deploy to Linux servers. And then we have Linux as an open source, which gives learners unmatched access. We have free tools, documentations, and communities. You can experiment, break things, and learn to fix them without limits. And Linux is prized for its stability and flexibility. It adapts to almost any workload on almost any hardware. Now, if you want to grow your career, this is the next logical step, especially if you have been following me on this channel. We have covered reseller hosting. I've walked you through WHM, WHMCS, and all of these services can run on a server which runs Linux, whether it's Ubuntu, AlmaLinux, and Arch Linux. Now, anytime you order a VPS, you've probably come across the VPS provider asking you to choose an operating system, and either of these are usually listed as options you can choose from. So it's a great foundation to grow your skill and up your game. Now let's look at some of the career opportunities that come with learning Linux. We have a Linux administrator, we have a cloud engineer, we have DevOps, we have cybersecurity analysts, we have backend developer, site reliability engineers, and we have database administrators and system engineers. Now, one important note, learning Linux alone won't land you any of these jobs. It is one skill among many. Cloud engineering still requires cloud platforms and networking. Cybersecurity still requires security tools and practices, and DevOps still requires automation, containers, and continuous integrations and continuous deployment. It is the common foundation underneath many of them. You are not just memorizing commands, you are learning how a major part of modern computing actually works. And that foundation is yours to build on however you choose. Now it's time to move from theory to practice. We have already covered how to install VirtualBox on your machine. So if you haven't seen this video, kindly check in the description. I'll leave a link to that video in the description you can check out to install VirtualBox on your machine. We have answered our two big questions: what Linux is and why it is worth learning. We covered the kernel, distributions, what Linux manages, where it is used, and why it remains one of the most valuable skills in tech. Now, let's get hands-on. Before installing Ubuntu, we need a safe working space to practice. And that is where VirtualBox comes in. VirtualBox lets you create a virtual machine, essentially a computer running in software inside your existing computer. That means if you are on Windows, you don't need to replace it to start learning Linux. You can create a virtual machine, install Linux inside it, and experiment freely, installing softwares, running the commands, even making mistakes, all without touching your main system. I've made a separate video walking through the VirtualBox installation guide step by step. You'll find it linked in the description and as the first video in this playlist. If you haven't installed it yet, that is your next step. Now, once VirtualBox is ready, we will build our first virtual machine and install Ubuntu, and that is where this journey turns from theory into hands-on skills. And yes, that is it for this particular session. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next lesson and to begin our practical sessions. Thank you for watching.